Ladies and gentlemen, I'm back on Press R and I'm filled with joy to welcome you to today's edition of the program. Thumbs up to Mokwele Prince Will Laduma, who kept Press R mantle glowing. Great countries of the world gained their fame through revolutions. America, France, Russia, China, name them. Africa was not there. The Industrial Revolution that has cut across centuries, expanding through gold, gas, electronics, nuclear power, internet, and renewable energy. Africa was left behind. Today, technology has compressed the world into a global village, and the globe is going through digital transformation. This time, Africa is present and Cameroon is active. What future will such transformation bring to Cameroon? Of course, Cameroon is just a case study. We talk about Nigeria, Morocco, South Africa, Kenya, Ghana, all across Africa. Cameroon as a case study, we're going to look at what future will such digital transformation bring to our country. And to talk about this today, we have just the specialists in digital transformation, some of them who have come to Cameroon because there was a week-long summit, call it conference, in Cameroon that made Cameroon the capital of Africa, digital capital of Africa. Join me, welcome Fonban Emmanuel, who is a journalist and IT specialist. Welcome.
Thank you, Killian. It's a pleasure to be here again.
Thank you very much. I called you. You were in Boya. You traveled overnight for this program. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Professor Folusho Ayeni, who is an expert in ICT and an expert in international development. You're welcome, Prof.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
This should be the first time you are on this set.
On Press Hour, yes.
And you are used to Cameroon
yes.
through the ICT development.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Excited to be here.
I should say the summit in Cameroon, you were the chair.
Yes, I was the conference chair of the just concluded week-long summit and conference.
Which you had our Minister of Post and Telecommunications. You had people from across the world.
Yes.
You're from countries like?
We're from UK, US, Canada, Kenya, Rwanda, Gambia. I mean, name all the Botswana. We had someone from Botswana too. Okay. Yes.
Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much, Killian.
Tell us how we can use this digitalization to transform Cameroon.
Yes.
And we are transforming Cameroon, using Cameroon as an example. Yes. We are using Nigeria.
Nigeria, yes.
That's your
next door neighbor. Yes.
Okay.
Born in Nigeria.
Thank you very much. Dina Epale is a public affairs and government relations professional. I want to particularly welcome you to this set. Dina, I met you last year. You came to Cameroon for the first time, after a long time. Welcome first to Press R.
Thank you very much, Killian. It's my pleasure being here.
Yes, last year you told me, you marveled me with your stay out of Cameroon. How long?
Interestingly, I'd been out of Cameroon for 30 years. Actually, it's now 32 years. But last year was the first time I was back in 30 years.
This is marvelous. I'm telling you, staying away from your own country for 30 years. Now, what actually pulled you back to Cameroon?
I'd say simply it was a series of, call them coincidences. Coincidence brought me here. I had initially wanted to come and bring my family, my 2 kids are born overseas. My wife is not from Cameroon, and I thought it's important for them to know my heritage, their grandparents' heritage. And so I planned to do such a trip, but it just didn't happen. But I made it a point I made it an obligation for me to come. And then it so happened, coincidentally, I was talking to Professor Mbarika, which many of you may not know, that we are classmates from primary school, and we've kept in touch all these years. I know about the ICT University, and one thing led to another, and I was asked to come and give a talk during the graduating ceremony. So it was a welcome back to Cameroon after 30 years of being away.
We are very elated. We are happy to receive you. And when you come back after this length of time, we know you have a basket full of things you're going to bring back to develop this country, our beloved country. And as I say, you are coming, Professor Victor Barika, who is an expert in ICT and the president of the board of trustees of the ICT University is right here again. We always bring you when we talk digital transformation, especially things that deal with ICT, which is the new trend. That is where we have the latest revolution in the world. Prof, welcome, and thank you for what you do into this country, bringing so many people.
No, thank you, Kilian, and the entire CRTV for receiving me here multiple times. And like we rightly say, we want Cameroon to be the digital capital of Africa, and we will make it happen.
Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, stay glued. You're going to see just exactly what you need to know, what the world today is moving into. And there is no way you will stay away from it. Either you are with it or you crash alone. The digital world. We begin with press review. Press review talks about what the newspapers fed on in the week that just ended. Bawe did the press review for us.
Cameroonian newspapers have been capturing the good, the bad and the ugly events that unfolded over the week. The Guardian Post on Wednesday reports of a total of 13 lives lost under 48 hours as a result of a road accident and landslide that occurred in the towns of Douala, Boya and Marwa. For the Horizon newspaper, it was a Black Wednesday as a fatal accident in Great Support Market in Boya claimed the lives of 2 persons. Thursday's publication of the Guardian Post takes a moment to do a balance sheet of road accidents in the past 6 months. The paper details that 256 people have died and 254 others injured out of 3,413 road accidents that have occurred lately. Newswatch this week reports on the sickening height which Cameroon's corruption has reached according to Barrister Keremuna. The paper says, during the commemoration of the African Anti-Corruption Day, the legal luminary used the opportunity to open the country's corruption can of worms. In the Horizon newspaper, Barrister Keremuna attributes Cameroon's sorry corruption state to the absence of political will. The Herald Tribune adds that journalists have been called to take reporting on corruption issues a notch higher. Still this week, Cameroon Tribune talks of the instructions given to journalists and media practitioners by the National Communication Council against the derogatory attitudes of some guests on TV programs. The Guardian Post goes further to report that journalists will henceforth bear the brunt for the unruly behavior of their guests on set. Similarly, Thursday's publication of Cameroon Tribune headlines on the warning given by the senior divisional officer from Fundi against anyone inciting an uprising through the media or creating public disorder in the division. The lone bilingual daily also presents the lurking danger looming over the circulation of toxic products like rat poison and pesticides, which are often at the origin of several mishaps in the society. On a lighter note, the same newspaper publication indicates that the prices of beer have remained unchanged following consultations between the Minister of Trade and actors in the brewery sector. The Horizon on July 18 reports as well that the Interim Minister of Mines, Professor Fu Callistus Gentry, has set the record straight over the alleged granting of 24 mining permits to Australian firm. And Cameroon will henceforth be the sole annual host of the ICT for Africa conference, reports the Horizon newspaper. Municipal Updates adds that Mauritius ex-president and Eric Chinje joined their voices to urge the youth at the conference to embrace artificial intelligence. Those are the papers. With you are with the press.
Thank you very much Fanbande Manuel, you are the press man on the panel. What have you identified that press review for us to talk about? Just one topic is enough.
Yes, Killian, I think I cannot say any other thing apart from the accident, which I see that is really a priority in this case. I don't know if the 256 that is given is added to the figures that we had in Boya just within the week, where one guy who was driving recklessly crushed, I think, 3 people who died instantly, and some others were wounded. And this is a week, you rarely get a week go on without having instance of an accident caused by reckless driving, and also, unfortunately, the state of roads, because to talk of the state of roads, we must be very candid that most of the roads connecting our regional capitals, they are not really of good state, and I think that it's a call for the government to see how to be able to handle this, because looking, for instance, the routes connecting the littoral region to the southwest, that's Douala, Boya, it's horrible, and it's a road where every time cars are at high speed to transport people, be it living from Boya to Yaoundé, Douala, or vice versa. And most often, it becomes even very dangerous when we have rainfalls, where you have situations where water fills potholes, and sometimes people driving cannot even see. So sometimes you're driving and you see a flat surface, you're thinking that, but there's a deep hole. When you get to it, sometimes if you're not careful, it's often results to an accident. But apart from this, we have to be very candid. People need to be very responsible in the way they drive, because it's really, really terrible.
Thank you. I like the way you've ended your intervention by saying that people need to be responsible, and statistics show that 70% of accidents on our roads are caused by human error, which takes it back to what we were talking about.
Absolutely.
People should be responsible.
Absolutely.
And when again you come to tell us that the nature of the roads nature of the road is so bad, we accept. But the nature of the road, the state of the road, only causes 10% of accidents on our road. Now, the 20 other percent, because we talked of 70, I've talked about 10, the 20 other percent of accidents on our road are caused by the state of the vehicle, the technical state of the vehicle. Which means drivers, road users, that is where we have to put a lot of attention. Because if the road is bad, that instead helps you to go slowly. Should not speed on a bad road. Yes, Prof.
Killian, please, let me really talk about it. Emma, you know I love you, and you're a great journalist, you're a great guy. But this is what I always say on all the media I appear all over the world about Africa. You made a very great point from the news that you have thousands of people dying, and it is this particular one in Boya due to reckless driving. And then you turned around and talked about the state of the roads and other things. I think we need to start holding Africans, not just Cameroonians, responsible. If you're sending out bad vehicles, you're a businessman, you're not looking at the brakes to send your drivers out. You're saying your drivers are working 11, 12 hours. They're tired. They're killing people. We should hold Africans responsible, and not always the government. This whole thing where if there is an issue, we must bring in the government's name. No, governments are not rich. Governments don't have money. I'm telling you this. I don't know about Cameroon government. I've dealt with many other governments around the world. I'm just beginning a lot of my...
Cameroon government has a lot of money to pay civil servants.
Well, I don't. I can't speak much about Cameroon government. I'm just beginning to know people in the government. But I have dealt with so many governments do not have money to do everything. So, like that guy that hit some tree and killed 3 on the spot, he may be locked up and some influential person come and remove him the next minute. Guess what? He will go and kill people again. He will be removed because maybe he has some connections. So it comes back, Killian, to what some of us have been bringing to the attention of not just Cameroon, but all African countries I go to. We Africans must take responsibilities. We are killing people.
Exactly.
The government has nothing to do with that killing. If the road is bad, slow down. Don't go around and killing 3 people in Boya.
I want to just caution that I think even at the policy level, because if a decision is made today that if you have an accident that kills somebody, your driving license will be seized.
That's done already. That's done for so many.
Yes, so
as we speak, there are drivers who are in prison for killing on the highway. So, and just last week, we're talking about all those 256 in just a short time. It includes, I forgot to tell you that it includes those accidents in Boya because they were public and registered. 3 different transport agencies were suspended, some for 7 days, some for a number of days, and before we've had some suspended for 1 month or for indefinite until further notice. That is done. There is policy.
There is something which the Ministry of Transport, a route safety measure, which they started once and it could not go for long, like using alcoholizers to test drivers on the. But I travel often. I've not seen any. Anyway, I travel, but I've not seen any route security officer using alcoholizers to test.
Alcotex, yes. That actually, it is not actually at the level where we want it to be, but it is done. I've been carrying out road safety campaigns with the National Gendarmerie. It was started way back in 2011, and it has been going on systematically. It has even been revolutionized these days, where you have only experts go to the field in road safety. The National Gendarmerie has been doing that. The Ministry of Transport has been doing that. There are still accidents occurring. We are saying that they should step up their campaigns.
Let them
on
also
on the highway.
I think checking, because cars that are overloaded, you get even cars on the highway with people sitting on the driver's seat, and they drive past the police control and nobody does anything.
That is it, Professor Folusho. When you hear this, you are not actually based here. You must be taken aback when you hear that we have all these recklessness on the way, bad roads and the rest. You are not used to this, are you?
I mean, I visit Africa often, just about 4 times a year, and it's not unique to Cameroon. I mean, several countries in Africa like that, especially, from the East, Central, and West Africa. I mean, Southern Africa is a bit better. But everything boils down to being responsible, right? We've talked about drinking while driving, by drivers texting, while driving, even phone calls while driving without the hands-free. These are some of the major causes. And finally, overspeeding. People don't respect speed limits in this part of the world. I know there's been a lot of road safety officers on the road, but are they really holding people accountable? It's not. Majority of the accidents are caused by irresponsibility and not bad roads itself. Someone tells me I can drive from Douala to Yaoundé in 2.5 hours. Right. This is normally, with that condition of that road, you shouldn't be able to drive that road in 2.5 hours. It should be 4 or 5 hours at the very least. But we see people saying they will get to Douala from Yaoundé in 2.5 hours. Why? That means that person is going to go 160, 170 kilometers an hour. Which is very risky. So as Africans, we should begin to think, take our lives very seriously. I mean, 1 split second, you are gone, right? So it's about being responsible on the road. And I know government has their own part to do by fixing those roads, but as drivers, on the road, we should be very responsible.
Very much so, Professor Ofolu. So because your recklessness as a driver puts at a peril the lives of innocent people. Because you are irresponsible, so many families suffer, sometimes for the rest of their life. So I see with you. Yes, Dina, something on this. You've been away for 30 years. You are used to highways with no obstacles. You come and hear this type of story here. What would you advise our people to do?
Well, I think as my very good colleagues have said, individual responsibility. Individuals need to take responsibilities regarding how they approach things. In Canada, where I live, speeding is an issue, right? People speed. Okay. But what is the deterrent? One of the things is the rules that are set in place so that if someone is going above the speed limit, if they are caught, the penalties are severe. But there's also an education that goes with that about the risk of speeding. At the end of the day, my view is it boils down to the individual. You are behind the steering wheel. Nobody is forcing you to go at 120. If the speed limit or if the road is narrow, it's common sense. Slow down, right? But those choices are made. I say they are choices that people make to do risky things that that endanger the lives of others. So I think while we're reflecting on what needs to be done, let's take a reflection on what we can do. Let's start from there. What changes can we do to ensure that when we go out there on the road, like if I was to take the car now, I have to put in mind there are kids crossing the road, there are people crossing the road. Let me be a responsible adult behind that wheel and ensure that I don't risk their lives.
And if it happens that you are not responsible, you rightly put it, the sanctions should be so deterring in such a way that you try it once, others will see you and will never do that. I think that it boils down to sanctioning irresponsible road users and doing that so severe that it deters all the others. Now we just take 2 minutes, a kind of introduction into our topic. We're talking about digital transformation, and we want to look at what future it holds for Cameroon and why not for the rest of the African continents. Cameroon is Africa in miniature. So why not what happens in Cameroon happens elsewhere in Africa. So this weekend, from Thursday, we had the global technological outage, where businesses were grounded, aeroplanes, those who use digital information technology to do business were grounded. Now, our topic today is digital transformation. The question I ask all of you, the 4 of you who are directly or indirectly related to ICT, digital transformation, or the new technology, you are saying it has come to stay. And then somebody could just get up one day and shut it down. A wizard in technology just gets it and then discovers, you call it a virus, injects it into the system. And we are total blackout for 1 day, 2 days, 1 month, 2 months, 1 year. Is it possible? Talk to us about this, Professor.
Okay. I will start by saying that, a chain is as strong as its weakest link, and that's the issue of cybersecurity. Right now, currently, a colleague of mine at the University of Maryland are working on a research on human factors, right? And this is the major cause of that outage, right? According to the media and the company CrowdStrike, who's responsible for the technology, the security part of the information systems that got shut down. I think we should start reviewing some governance, risk, compliance issues with security, right? We have some of disgruntled employees that may not be happy and may even cause some of these things. So we should expand the human factors base in cybersecurity these days, because there was a lot of loss of money during this technology outage. Businesses shut down, flights cancelled. We had colleagues of ours who were supposed to travel on Friday back to the US after the conference. Their flight got cancelled also. And it has a ripple effect. They had to miss their connecting flight and everything. So cybersecurity is a very big issue, and that's why even as our institution, ICT University, will continue to train. We need more skills in that. We need more people, more experts in cybersecurity to deal with some of these issues, because some of these issues are not external when it comes to cybersecurity. They're internal issues, which, you know, the company also accepted their fault. It is our fault. It is internal issue. We're working to resolve this. And the good thing that the response time, the time they had to resolve this thing was very short. But in 3 hours, they were able to resolve it. And that's, you know, that's the good accolade I can give them. You know, a round of applause for them. They were able to fix this, you know, immediately. But of course, it had caused, you know, major outbreaks, major delay in this. So, but what do I want to bring from this? We should, and it's a feature. Let's talk about Africa. Yeah, I mean, as it boils down to Africa, we need to start thinking. I'm training more people in cybersecurity. We've been talking about cybersecurity for many years now, but now is the time. And this is a very big evidence to see that we still need skills. We still need more human talent in cybersecurity, and most especially in the area of human factors of cybersecurity. People need to keep learning. Of course, there are external attacks, and people need to get ready, keep learning, keep upskilling, reskilling in the area of cybersecurity.
Emma, I've worked with you for quite some time. I'm close to you, and I know what you can do in IT. At one point, you tracked someone who hacked a phone right to where the person was as an individual. Absolutely. So how dangerous is something like the global tech outage that we had, given that you also know how you can track someone? Which means everybody who can track someone can also maybe invent a virus to, you know, inject into the system of digital space.
Yeah, Kila, you know, the digital space is quite very funny in that sometimes you have people who are very great, who sometimes want to threaten institutions that I say these are the best in this, these are the best in this. We've had stories all over the world where there are hackers who got jobs because they hacked into a system and they noticed that this was, if this guy could hack this system, it means he was just very competent too. So there are people who try to show their prowess in this sector by just trying to challenge certain systems that they feel that this is the best. And this is not really, because these are issues we are always going to have in as much as we are having evolution in technology. There are people who would always want to challenge and show off that they may do it hiddenly, they may do it just to be able to tarnish the name of certain institutions delivering certain services. They may do it just to weaken their strength, and it could even be their rivals who are doing it too. So the intentions, there are a variety of intentions that would happen, but in as much as you're operating in this space, always be ready for these challenges. Yes, always be very ready for these challenges, and always know that there's no moment where you're going to fold your arms and say you are providing the best security. Even when you feel that you have the best security, you still need to make sure that your security experts, they are actually reforming and modifying every single second, because once you have it today, we have most of what we do sometimes in systems, in most systems, especially they have to use password, they condition that if it's password, they make sure that it changes maybe in 2 days, or you use it just for some few days and you use it. So these are things that comes with technology, and we cannot run away from technology. We have to always be very ready, arm ourselves for these contingencies. And if we're very much prepared that they can happen anytime, we will not have any problem. We will prepare to fight them at any point in time they erupt.
You have fast forwarded. We're going to end it and go into our discussion, because you have fast forwarded what I wanted to talk about. Talking about challenges, I will just get to Professor Victor Mbarika, who had a talk on the opportunities, the challenges, and the future of digital transformation in Africa. That is Africa. You're going to tell us exactly what are the opportunities, what are the challenges, and what future do we have in this?
The opportunities are tremendous. Digital transformation, you see, like I always talk about, when we train students at ICT University, we don't train them to look for jobs. So the opportunity many of them are doing right now is that they act as consultants to even foreign companies, but right here in Cameroon. Digital transformation has allowed them to be able to say, okay, even if I don't want to go and get a job from the government or from private sector in Cameroon or in Nigeria, we have students all over the world, I can go online and manage the database system of a company in Australia. We have students that manage websites of professors I know in America. Okay, they manage their websites from Cameroon and they are paid. This is digital transformation is provided employment. And that's why I keep criticizing that many times as Africans, we say we don't have enough technology. What we have now is good enough to be able to do work internationally without ever leaving Cameroon. Those are opportunities I can give. In employment, I don't think there's anything better than employment provision from digital transformation. What are the challenges? We've started talking. Cybersecurity is an issue. Any system that is online is prone to cyber attacks. That is why this domain of technology, of ICT, is a domain no government, no military is strong enough to fight against it because it's online. Even the White House has cyber attacks all the day, all the time. The Pentagon has cyber attacks all the time. They have entire departments. They spend millions of dollars just to protect their systems. I know that firsthand. There's some stuff I can't talk in public, but they do have those attacks. So the thing that happens many times, Killian, is that when some of our local governments, even in Africa, develop a system and there's a problem, people automatically say, oh, money has been stolen, so the system. When the visa system, the e-visa system started in Cameroon, it had problems in the first few weeks. People say, you see, this thing will never work. Now, almost all our visitors from outside the country today that came for the ICT for Africa conference, did not need to go to any Cameroon embassy to get visa. They all went online, got their visa, and to the best of my knowledge, Mr. Chairman, I did not hear any complaint for them to get visas. So systems, every system is prone to attack. So sometimes we are too demanding. A technology system is prone to fail at one point or another. Even I had a complaint from a student at ICT University last week. They were reporting the administration of ICT University. You know the report? That the ACs have not worked for a few days. The air conditioner in classrooms, they were complaining because we have air conditioner in all our classrooms at ICT University. Air conditioners can go bad, any IT system can go bad, but their complaint was that they did not have AC. So
thank you.
All technologies have problems, Killian.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to get over to you, Dina. What can we do to harness AI, which is now the revolution that we have today in digital transformation? How do we harness AI, African artificial intelligence, for African progress? How do we do that?
Well, I'll start by saying technology is the great equalizer. And in harnessing artificial intelligence for progress, one of the things the recent conference that was held, ICT for Africa, I moderated a panel on that same topic, harnessing artificial intelligence for Africa's progress. One of the things that came on, and we had various experts, various people from different level of expertise on the panel, and it was a wonderful panel with great discussion. Some of the things that we heard in terms of harnessing potential, there is a lot of potential that already exists. Some of the things, and ICT is doing a great job in that education. Education is key. This is the future. In fact, it's the now, right? So ICT University is well placed to be giving people, the students, the next generation, the training required to advance things.
Yeah, let's be talking more about ICT training. We're not focused on a university, okay? You have the floor. Continue.
Yeah. So if I can get your question again?
We are talking about not about the university,
right.
We're talking about the training.
Okay. So training, different types of training. So when it comes to the training to harness the potential, right?
Yes.
We talk about different things. One of the things that we looked at was three areas that our panel focused on, or one of the discussion was on agriculture, was on education, and there was a third one. But let's take even the agriculture. Healthcare, exactly, right? What can we do in those areas? They identify things that can be done in those areas to improve what is already on the ground in order to harness. And when we harness, we are improving what is existing. We are building on things that are already there to make us be able to deliver services that are outstanding. And so such services are going to end up being better health services for the citizens, which in turn will transform them into address some of the healthcare issues that are in place now.
Yes, talking about education is aerially talked about. What specifically do we focus on when we take education as a subtopic? You want to hear Dina, or you want to continue, Dina?
Add your voice to it.
Okay. Let me say here that there's a lot of potential to accelerate technology in Africa and Cameroon. The technology sector in this part of the world is still underexploited. And when we talk about education, it's about people owning their own skills. I mean, think products, right? You agree with me, Killian. In 2004, when Mark Zuckerberg started the idea of Facebook, his plan was to actually solve a very local problem, which was to make people at Harvard, students at Harvard communicate from dorm to dorm, dormitory to dormitory. That was the plan for Facebook. But it's history today, right? It's beyond Harvard University, but global. He wanted to solve a local problem, and that's what I tell youth and women in sub-Saharan Africa, including Cameroon. We need to start thinking of products to solve global problems. And I told them to solve local problems. And I was saying, in technology today, there's nothing like competition. As a matter of fact, competition is very good because it makes prices go down. I mean, it foments prices.
Exactly.
For example, I'll use Nigeria as a next-door neighbor today. In Nigeria, we have several ride-hailing services. And when I say that, we have, Uber, right? Like you have Yango. But in Nigeria today, we have about 6 or 7 of them competing with each other. Right now in Cameroon, I just hear of Yango. So can one youth wake up one day and say, I want to compete with Yango? I don't know the origin of Yango, if it's owned by a Cameroonian or not. I mean, I don't know. But someone can also wake up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Before you continue,
Yeah.
I've used one of those services in Nigeria, and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
At the airport, they are fighting to take you, and they make sure they provide the best services that you can have, and they make there's none of your luggage is missing, and you can trace them. So yes, that's a very good example.
Yes, so youth should wake up and think about products to solve local problem. It can even be a Yaoundé problem. It doesn't have to be the entire Cameroon. And I was saying during the ICT for Africa conference that just in the first half of 2024, African-based tech startups raised $700 million, almost $1 billion in funding. And 50% of that money actually went to Nigeria, and other African countries shared the remaining 50%. So there's a lot of potential. There's money out there. Investors are beginning. In fact, investors are more interested in products from Africa right now because they know that it's still underexploited, and they could make, a lot of profit. They don't have to pay a lot of taxes like in the Western world, and a lot of, the expenses, running expenses, capex, all those things are lesser in Africa. So they want to push money here. So the average youth and woman should not wait for government to create that opportunity. There's technology. I said it during the ICT for Africa conference that one internet-enabled device is all you need to change the world right now today.
Yes, Dina, Prof. Ayene just talked about youth and women. You were talking about education. Where is actually the place of the youth and women in this, in harnessing AI for the progress of Africa?
Where is the place of youth and women?
Yeah, young people and women.
Oh, definitely there is a place for them. I'll say, for example, you take youth, that's the future, right? They live in the world of, and I'll give you an example of my kids. My kids are more technologically advanced than I am because they are born into this technology. I have to learn it. For them, it's part of their everyday life. So youth have a role to play because what they are learning now, the way we are working now is not the way our kids will work. And so we see it's important that the youth get the skills, right, that would enable them when they go out to reach the stage where they're into the workforce, they are able to keep up.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. And talk about this education of the youth, especially. One of the speakers, not just the participants, was one of us, an ace, iconic journalist, Eric Chinje, who thinks that it is only when there is a strategic use of AI and other digital transformation perspectives that we can progress. Let us watch him talk about the strategic use of AI and other digital handouts.
If we're going to transform society, we will have to figure out how we effectively use the instruments that the media afford us. Without a strategic use of those instruments, society will never change, certainly not in the ways that we want. On the side of the journalists who are the purveyors of information, and on the side of the recipients, the people that we're trying to influence, it's very important that a higher sense of the use of these instruments, and whether it's government that does it, or the media itself that does it, or society in general, but it has to be done so that we can put to the best use possible the instruments of technology that are available to us now. Whether it's social media or traditional media, whether it's new systems developed, AI-based systems, we have to make sure that our people, we have a strategy for doing it, and that our people understand what we're doing. If you look around, if you analyze life on Earth today, you will see how AI, artificial intelligence, is already creeping into every aspect of our life. It's as if, you are there's a tsunami coming, and you're saying, oh, well, it's only water. You'd be blown out of existence. No. So the discussion is not about, is it good, is it bad? No. It's about how do we make the most of it. And every society has to figure out. Of course, there are people who would use AI for destructive purposes. There always are. People have used money, they've used gold for destructive purposes. They've used weapons for destructive purposes. So it's not a matter of, you'll always have those people. But it's what happens to the majority that matters. And with regard to artificial intelligence, the vast majority on Earth, of the 8 billion people on Earth, the vast majority, 7.5 billion, will be on the good side of AI. And so we should be looking at that. How do we leverage AI for health purposes, for agricultural purposes, for industrialization? Look at our roads. Look at, every aspect of our lives.
There's one image you used there, that digital transformation, particularly talking about artificial intelligence, has come to stay. And if you are not careful, you are not alert, you see it coming, you think that a tsunami coming, you think it's water that's coming. You take it for granted, and it takes you off guard. What exactly will you say when you hear him talk about this? It has come to stay. Emma, you are into it.
Yes, Kilian, one of the things that I was thinking when you invited me for this program is, I stayed in Boya and I see most young people are fighting to buy the biggest iPhones, the biggest Android phones. And when you see what they want to do with the Android phones and the iPhones, you are asking yourself if it was really worth. That is, we have very great working tools in our palms, and we just use it for very unproductive purposes. We turn working towards that we are going to be assets into liabilities, because every day in Boya you easily, and I think it's the same case with other towns, you see a young girl who is using an iPhone 14 or whatever, costing more than 400,000 francs, begging for that data, internet data, yes, for maybe 500 or 100 francs, or even asking. So it's very funny. And if
Well,
our young people...
you made a very good point. If he or she begged for that 100 francs data and used it effectively, I think it's in terms of how they use such assets, how they do not allow it into liability.
I think that to be able to afford that kind of device, that you cannot be. It's just like somebody driving a BMW Jeep and begging for fuel. Or it's not.
Yes,
but
I get your image.
Yes, Kylian, I think that yes. So in that, one of the key things that I really want to mention is that there is need that we train the digital natives and digital citizens. The digital natives, there is need that we familiarize our children with the useful elements of IT, and make them understand that they are already, we are talking of the future. I must say, this is now, because if you are not laying a foundation now, you are nowhere. You are not going to find yourself anywhere tomorrow.
That is that is icy. What you are talking about, it's very delicate.
Yeah.
Because it's moving against the trend of the thought of parents in Cameroon. I don't know how it is in other African countries. They are depriving their children of these new information and technological gadgets because they say it derails them from focusing on their studies. Prof, you say no.
It's a travesty, and I say this categorically, for anybody, even anybody in authority, to deprive, for example, secondary school students in the dorms from taking their phones to school. Because that is where the technology is. It annoys me when I hear this, honestly, Kylian. We have come in the digital world. It is not going behind. It is not going to get away. Let those kids hold their phones. Let them hold it in class. But teach them responsible use of those phones. I hear some secondary schools don't even, especially the religious secondary schools in Cameroon, I hear they don't even allow kids to come to school with iPads or with tablets or with phones. That is a technological travesty. Chinese kids, Indian kids, Japanese kids, they are holding this thing all the time. But the home training on responsible use is where it matters.
Now, you are talking now about context. I was going to ask you that question. What if in Cameroon, our context does not warrant that we give to these children? Because if we give them, they will not employ that into usefulness the way the others.
No, there are controls you can put on children's phones. If it's even to track what they do, you can. There are apps from your phone as a parent. You can track where they are going to, what websites they are visiting, how they are using it. Those
civilized parents like you, my children, as I speak to you, they know how to use the phone more than I do. How do I put the restrictions in their phone when they understand technology more than me? They certainly they're going to unlock that nonsense I put in my phone.
I can answer that, because there is also a possibility for the government to, because normally when somebody buys a phone, they register it. From your registration, it's possible to be able to know the age range. And it's possible for the government to be able to use its powers to shut down certain sites from being accessed by children. That is, if you were to buy a phone for your child and you register, get the information of that your child, the phone's operating systems knows that this child is below 18. It is possible for the operating system to know that the age of this child doesn't permit this child to access this site, doesn't permit this. These are things like Prof is saying, we have to welcome. This is not time again that we have to start depriving our kids, because if we want to continue doing this, then let's know that we want to keep our children in the
Analog
in the
age.
90s. Yes,
Okay.
when others are going, because there is no opportunity tomorrow for a non-digital native. There is
Thank
no opportunity.
Thank
We
you.
have to emphasize on training digital citizens, that is people who can be able to use these resources ethically. Yes, we have to invest this energy in doing this, because there's no other option.
Parents are listening to you. I think we don't have anything against what you have said. Parents have to allow their children to use the ICT gadgets. They only need to play their role as their parents, make sure they know how to give restrictions, hold their children to order, and make them grow with the world. Now, earlier when Prof. Baraka was talking about the importance, the opportunities of using digital transformation, he made mention of AI used in warfare. And the former Nigerian president, Olusegun Obasanjo, says, if you win the digital war, that's space.
Yes.
You win the digital space, you win the war. For you to win any war, you have to win the digital space. Let us watch him. He also delivered a keynote address during the last summit, ICT for Africa summit in Yaoundé.
One of the problems I was confronted with as president of Nigeria was the problem of militancy in the Niger Delta areas of Nigeria and the criminality that went along with militancy, especially with sabotage and stealing of oil from the pipelines. We managed to get satellite system to observe and locate the saboteurs and the criminals, and that was 20 years ago. But we had no means of dealing with them after they have been located by satellite. Today, it is a different story. With drones, we can combine locating and identifying with attacking by drones. And in warfare today, whoever wins the electronic or digital warfare through different digital processes is likely to be the winner of a war in the end. Digital and cyber intelligence, cyber security, drones and artificial intelligence will be the major weaponry of a war of today. Not too long ago,
Yes, we got that clean and clear. I don't think we need comments on that. If you win the electronic war, the digital space, then in any warfare, you're going to be the winner. But now let's go to some practical issues about digital transformation, which some people may not see, but they are the things that can actually make us progress. This is raised by the former Mauritius president, Mrs. Bibi Amina. She says agriculture, if you take digital transformation into agriculture, I've had people on this set who said that. She also said that during this conference. Let us watch her.
The famous adage of a bird that cannot fly with one wing applies. This remarkable accomplishment shatters the traditional perception of these disciplines as male-dominated, paving the way for a more equitable and diverse future in technology. It is clear that on this trajectory, you have to also find innovative ways to working with both government and private sector. Actions can include collaborative research projects, an innovation model, internship, workshops, seminars. It will be up to you to push the boundaries of the possible, knock on the doors, and never take no for an answer. Think and act on what you can do in the health sector, in agro-industry, in tourism, in governance, and in public administration and transport, and I must add also in the marine sector. With technology, the field is wide, the possibilities are endless, and the sky is your limit. Cameroon has a young and dynamic population, which presents a significant opportunity for development of the ICT sector in the country.
That was actually a call for action. She said Cameroon has to integrate this into agro-industry, into tourism, into governance, and into administration. I think that is so englobing. We are going to be moving out of the discussion, and these two speakers have made points that we cannot go without making some comments, without complimenting them. Beginning with you, Dina Epale.
Yeah, I go back to what I said earlier about technology being the great equalizer. As our last speaker, the former president, said, it's an opportunity, it creates opportunities, and it makes the level field more equal when we use technology to advance those things. So I think, and what former President Obasanjo also said in terms of the warfare, and if you win the digital warfare, you win the war, so to speak. That is, technology is here to stay, right? We are not going backwards. We have to accept it. We are moving forward. We're seeing how it's being used in so many different phases and so many things to improve and give us opportunities that never existed. If I take even one example of facial recognition, that is a technology that is helping people around the world identify potential criminals or people who may have done harm. So yes, there is a lot of potential, and it's our opportunity to harness it.
Thank you very much, Professor Ayine. The summit in ICT for Africa, you were the chairperson of the summit. How do you assess this summit in 1 minute? It's over.
Yeah, thank you, Killian. This summit was a very successful one. We had several positive feedback from people from across the world, including the Cameroon government officials itself. And one thing that excites me about this summit is also even inviting the president of the Cameroon National Youth Council, that's Lady Fadimatu. And during her speech, she mentioned something, because I was really, really interested in that part. What is the Cameroon government doing to support youth in small businesses and digital stuff, small tech startups? She mentioned that the Cameroon government recently released 102 billion francs.
That's exact.
That is a lot of money out there. That means the government is doing something towards. They are interested in the digital revolution. They're interested in change. And one thing, if I would advise the government as we move forward now, is I don't know how many regions we have in Cameroon. Is to develop 10 regions, yes. Technology hubs in these 10 regions.
Technology hubs
and incubation hubs, yes, for youths to come together. Startup companies in e-agriculture, e-commerce, fintech, and a wide variety of services.
Yes, and we are still on that, moving out of this program, Professor Barika, and you are the one who engineered this. We hear that it has come to Cameroon to stay.
Yes.
Cameroon now is the capital of the permanent seat of ICT for Africa.
Yes, Killian, this conference had gone to so many African countries. It was a conference launched by the ICT University many years ago, but I was able to convince our partners, our board of trustees, that rather than move this conference to so many African countries, let's make Cameroon the center, the point of attention for this, for time immemorial to come. And the conference will be every year now in Cameroon. Cameroon will be the sole host of ICT for Africa. And I'm so excited with all the presidents, President Obasanjo, President Amina that came, but I was also very excited about the President of the National Youth Council that came, Madam Fadimatu, the Minister of Post and Telecom. They were all here. And by the way, Folusho, we have a major technological hub established by the Cameroon government right here in Yaoundé. It's a major incubator, and I agree with you. Maybe now sub-incubators can be in all 10 regions. There's an amazing incubator.
Thank you very much for
good as anywhere in the developed world is right here in Yaoundé, in Bastos.
Thank you very much for what all of you are doing for our country. The next, you already concluded. The next time you come, and I hope you're going to come next year, Dina Epale, who is a public affairs and government relations professional, you are going to do more than what you've done within these past 2 years that you've come here. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation to come to Press R.
Thank you, Kilian. It was my pleasure.
Yes, and Professor Folusho Ayeni, thank you very much. You are a developer. You are building countries around. Thank you for coming to build Cameroon. You are a Pan-Africanist. That's my description. It's not you. Thank you very much. Expert in ICT and international development. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kilian. Thank you so much, my friend Kilian.
Yes, so Professor Victor Mbarika, we cannot say more than this. Thank you.
God bless you. Thank you.
Emmanuel, thank you. You're going to travel back to Ground Zero. You are based in Boya. Thank you for coming.
It was quite a great pleasure, and I hope Cameroonians did learn from what we shared.
Of course, so much. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. You have a rebroadcast of this program on Monday at 2:30 on CRTV Premium, and on Wednesday on CRTV News at 9 p.m. That's after the news in the French language. Thank you so much. We are back to stay as ICT, digital transformation, is here in the world and in Cameroon to stay. We are going to build our country with that. Have a very blessed day ahead.